It's my fault, okay? I'm just a quick announcement, right? Next week we don't have a class, it's our fault. We're overloaded because of teacher training next week. Sorry, can't help it. We'll have a week off of the thing. He would do it, it's our fault. We're doing too many things at that time. And if you want to come to those philosophy classes, they're posted up there and you can crash those if you want to. You can see all the times. Also, yeah. Doctor.
Swagatam, welcome, Swagatam. So, let's turn to the end of the chapter 2 again and chant that little phrase. It's right at the back of the last page. And I'll do it once and then everybody. Om Tat Sarati Srimad Bhagavad Gita Su Upanishatsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade Sankhya Yogo Nama Dvitiyo Dhyaya. Everyone. Om Tat Sarati Srimad Bhagavad Gita Su Upanishatsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade Sankhya Yogo Nama Dvitiyo Dhyaya. Okay. So first of all, I'd like to make a couple of comments about last time, and both where I don't know if you remember in grammar school, maybe high school, you had a very smart student who would, spout off, and the teacher would even, not know what to do because the smart student was often very much right. Well, that happened. Ben twice was right. First of all, in this term vyavasayatmika, remember and I thought it was maybe close to one-pointedness, ekagrata, and he said, no, that's wrong, and that's true, it is wrong. It's really resolute. And the reason we had a little trouble with the verse 44, vyavasayatmika buddhi, it says samadhi na, earlier that word was used positively. And I think it means resolution, determination, which is maybe on the border of ekagrata, right? But ekagrata is really very precise, one-pointed focus, right? This is this resolution, and you can have a good resolution or you can have a bad resolution. And I thought, it was very confusing because when the first time it was used in a positive sense, and then here in the second time it says these people are resolute, but they don't get the samadhi. But that's because they're attached. Right, the earlier part of 44, it's because they're attached. So they're resolute, but they're resolute in the wrong way. I think that's the point. And the other word is there is. Which word is it? Which word? The first time it was used was in 41. Right? 41.
Okay.
Right, vyavasayatmika buddhi. That's good. That's a good thing. Or maybe, wait a minute, maybe that's also a bad thing. Oh yeah, that's a good thing. In 40, the first part of 41. And then it says that are not that way are the ones, their minds just go in every direction. And then, so it's used in a positive way in 41, and then it's used, the same word is used in a negative way in 44. The second time, the bright, talkative student was correct. It was in there are two roots that sound alike, and I think there's yud, Y-U-D-H, which means to fight, and there's yuj, Y-U-J, which is the root from which the word yoga comes. The past passive participle, yukta, is the past passive participle of that verbal root, yuj. And the imperative, where you do such and such, do what the root says, for fight is yudya, it's a fourth class root out of ya, it's yudyaswa. And for practicing yoga, it's yujaswa. Sounds very similar. So it's understandable that you're a very fallible instructor here. And this teacher caught that. I mean, come on, Guruji here. He caught it. Wow. And so the first time is actually, I think I forgot which verse it's used. It's actually practice yoga, right? But later on, the refrain will be yud yaswa. Yoga yukta, yud yaswa, with a DH instead of a J. Sounds very similar, but it means fight. And in the context of karma yoga, it means the same thing, because fight means, yoga yukta, practicing yoga, disciplined in yoga, do what you have to do. Right, that's it. That's going to be a refrain. But I think we got through 46 last time.
Yes.
Okay, and so
You?
now, would you like to do 47? Did anybody prepare 47?
Did you?
Yeah, kind of. I did.
You did? Okay, Kendra prepared. All right.
47. Karmani.
Very good. Karmani.
Karmani eva
Good.
adikaras te ma palash. Is that shu?
Paleshu.
Paleshu kadachana.
Kadachana.
I'm bad. Why am I'm usually so good at these. Kadachana ma karma palahetur bur mate sangha astu.
Sango.
Sango. Is that beginning of Sunday? Sango. Okay.
Sangaha without the Sunday.
Astu karamani.
Karmani.
Karmani.
Karmani. Very good. Very good. Breaking a lot of Sunday there. Breaking the Sunday. So can you translate that?
Yeah, let's see. So your right is only to action, never to the result.
Wait. Slow down.
Okay, can I do word by word?
Yeah, Karmani.
Karmani, connected with or being in the action. Locative.
Yeah, locative. Very good.
Ava is like only.
That's emphasis, right?
Only.
Only, yeah.
Adikaras, authority, government, or right.
Right.
Te, ta, dual or plural. Te
is your.
Your, okay. Te, your, right.
For you or something.
And then would ma here be not? Like
Yeah, ma is a indeclinable that is used with the injunctive. And the injunctive in this case comes with the second line, bur. Boo. Boo.
And then,
Boo, that means be this way. And ma bur means don't be this way.
Right.
Boo bava, like in swabhava.
Paleshu. Result?
Karma palahetur.
Oh wait, where am I?
Oh no, she's.
That's
in the,
one. That's
I'm
one
still,
compound.
I'm sorry, I'm
She's
still
in
on
the first
I'm
pala.
still on the first
Okay, kadachana, paleshu, kadachana.
Paleshu, and then any time.
So you don't have a verb yet, right? The ma, you have to wait till you get all the way to bur.
Oh wow, okay.
Uh-huh.
And then tachana, at any time.
Right?
Ma, not again. Karma, pala, result. Hetur, meaning cause this time.
That's a compound. That's one of those Bhagavad compounds where the whole thing modifies something outside the words of the compound. Do not be a person whose cause, whose motivation, hetu, is the fruit of karma, of action. Don't be the person whose hetu, right? Yasya hetus sa karma pala hetu sa. That's how you bahuvrihi, a person who has much, bahuvrihi rise is a bahuvrihi, just like the Buddha is called the long years because he is a person who has long years. Right? So the karma pala hetur bur ma, don't be like that. Don't be one who's motivated for the fruit of action.
Te.
Te.
And then sangha would be, like you said, attachment here?
Sango is attachment.
Sangha, attachment.
So don't be this way either. Ma te sango tu, but contrast with what earlier you shouldn't be, akarmani.
Harmony.
What's akarmani?
Not
What's mean?
negative.
Right?
Negative, attached to karma, not non-karmic.
Don't be attached to non-action.
Yeah.
Don't be one who's motivated by action, by the fruits of action. You act. You can act. You act. You should act. You gotta act. Actually, the very first line, karmani. Now, see, at least according to many readings, not everyone's, but there's chapter 3 has to do with a new kind of sacrifice, not an external sacrifice, a sacrifice of sort of offering in a psychological way, where anything you do can be material, fuel for the sacrifice, and you offer it to the fire maybe in your heart. And so a lot of terminology surrounding the external sacrifice is used. And here is one of the, indeed, the word karma can in Sanskrit mean a sacrifice. They call it, and you have to remember, this is in a time where the Brahmins did a lot of sacrifices. That's what their religion was a lot of, fire and offering stuff in the fire, chanting mantras. We heard that last time, these flowery words and all this. And Krishna was really criticizing that outward ceremony, but he uses the language. And one of the key words of that language is right here, adhikata, that you translated authority. And that, in the sacrificial literature, that means that you are fit to do the sacrifice, that you've passed the prerequisites. For example, for the Agnishtoma or Soka, you can't be blind or lame or low caste, or there are lots of sort of requirements, preconditions for approaching a Brahmin and giving him the sacrificial fees and carrying out a sacrifice. Not just anybody meets the requirements to be the yajamana, the sacrificer. And that's the word that's used, adhikata, very important. What are the adhikata? So it says you have adhikata for action, and it seems to mean any action, right? Or at least maybe for the karma yoga action, right? But not for the fruits. Ma karma pala, don't be one who's motivated for the fruit of the action, but don't be attached to non-action. So this is one of the nice, memorable verses.
Yeah, that's cool. You were talking last week about some of this as a critique of Vedic ritual.
Well, it was pretty obvious, right?
Yeah, right.
In the
But
verse.
now you're almost talking about overlaying action as
Well,
onto the schema.
just
of
as the
Vedic ritual.
Buddha
Yeah.
has often said, to use everyday language in order to help people,
Yes.
even though when you analyze it into
Yeah.
objects, you may be going wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to use those concepts to explain what's unconceptualizable.
Cool.
So similarly, here there is the use of the language of the religious sacrifice to make a new teaching called karma yoga,
Yes.
the yoga of sacrifice. But it's not the old sacrifice.
Right.
So that's why he had to go on and on about the Vedic stuff is nowhere.
Right.
It's some new sacrifice.
There's this verse that comes later, right? I don't know the Sanskrit so well, right? But this, right, what is it? Brahmana Heva.
Oh yeah, that's so Brahman is the offering. Brahman is the and offered into the Brahman fire.
Into the fire, which
Yeah,
is
yeah,
Brahman,
and then
which,
I mean, it's like
spoon
the
is
whole
Brahman,
circle is
the
just
offering is Brahman, the food. And sometimes people
Brahma
do
now,
as like
Brahmana, Hutam,
it's a
Brahma.
grace sometimes when people are eating. This idea that even the act of eating, like I am the fire pit, and that's
Yes,
I'm making
and
these
there's
offerings.
another verse right around that same verse that says, "Some offer the in breaths into the out breaths. Others
Beautiful.
offer the out breaths into the in breaths."
Cool. Yeah, beautiful.
That's nice.
That's beautiful.
So,
Okay.
so 44. So, yeah. So we had that was what 40.
That was 47.
Okay,
This is my
48.
only chance. 48. Or
Oh,
nothing.
48's another great
Okay,
memorable.
because I only
40.
really took a meaningful stab at these two, if I may.
Okay, go
Okay, because I got nothing else otherwise.
Anybody else? Okay. I mean, you are the dominant student.
Well,
we have to listen, but occasionally we have to hear some other voices.
This is the only one I want,
Okay.
and then I quit.
Oh no! Don't.
No, I'll be quiet.
Okay.
Or
Yeah.
yoga sta kuru karmani
Right.
sangam tyaktva dhananjaya siddhi asiddhiyo samo bhutva samatvam yoga uchyate.
Perfect.
All
You
right.
did everyone perfect.
Take it.
And maybe a little better rhythm. Maybe.
Yeah, sure.
Because particularly that
It's
last
not
one,
traditional to
Samatvam
say
yoga.
in between words.
But this last, here we get a definition of yoga, right? Samatvam yoga uchite. Samatvam yoga uchite.
Yeah.
Yoga is said to be samatvam.
Balance.
Probably more equanimity.
Equanimity.
But yeah, balance is literal,
Uh-huh.
which is kind of cool, right? Balance.
Yeah, to be that. Yeah, whether you.
That's like the middle way, right? In the middle way, sort of premised on balance, right?
Not the way that he glosses it here, though, more, but yes, right? I mean, this is in kind of like the same or indifferent towards achieving something or not achieving something.
Yeah, we're gonna get that.
Oh,
right?
okay, but not yet. So
No, no.
absorbed in yoga.
Yeah,
Yoga
yeah.
Kuru.
Yeah,
right,
siddhi,
imperative.
siddhi, samo, bhutva. So what are you sama equal to?
Yeah.
Success or failure?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Right, yeah.
But success or failure presupposes trying.
It does. Yeah, right. But also reads of Pala, which we were just told to disavow.
Right, and there's a lot of discussion in the Sanskrit secondary literature and so on. How is it possible even to act without some desire for the fruit of the action, because you have to be directed,
Exactly.
right? You have to have a goal.
What's your
There's a-
motivation?
you
Yeah,
you
great.
just don't spasm, right?
Yeah.
It has to be directed.
Sometimes I do.
But you know, of course, and in fact, there's another line, I think we already had that. Yoga is skill in works. And so there's encouragement to actually do something perfectly. And later on, we get this bhakti emotional element in the sacrifice where this idea is you do it with love, and the offering is to someone you love, and so it's got to be beautiful and perfect. So it's not like just anything goes, but nevertheless you might fail. So stay cool. But it's not that you don't care whether yoga karmasu kausham, yoga is skill and works. And I don't know, I really think that's true. I think, you know, practicing the ekagrata and the yamas and the niyamas and the asanas and the pranayama, if students do that in college, for example, which I'm familiar with, they do very well in all their studies and so on, right? If they, you know, you stay focused. You know, there's a kind of balance in this teaching of, you know, be equal in success and failure. That's balanced by the perfectionism of yoga is skill and works.
So what's that siddhi?
Siddhi.
It's got two words put together there.
It's accomplishment or achievement or
See, it's
then
siddhi. It's siddhi.
Not.
Remember,
Okay, I see.
and then it's in the dual case because it's both of them, right?
yeah, siddhi, and any e followed by the vowel e, followed by any vowel,
Right.
followed by
Right.
changes to ya.
Yeah.
So siddhi changes to siddhya,
Siddhya.
and then the asiddhi. So it's siddhi asiddhi. So it's siddhi asiddhis becomes siddhya
Accomplishment or
siddhis.
non-accomplishment.
So
Kind of.
Yeah.
success or failure.
Success or failure. And it's telling you to be balanced, so take however it is with the same.
Yeah, try, you know, hey, don't get depressed if you don't make it. Don't get elated if you succeed. Stay cool, no matter what. But nevertheless, try your best. Because
But don't think about the
yoga's,
fruits of your works.
excuse me?
But don't have your intentions on the fruits.
Yeah, I
of
know,
your
but again, that
works.
has to be balanced by the idea that you're doing something as an offering, and you want it to be a good one.
Because all you have control over is what you're doing.
That's right. You have adhikara. You
All
have
control is
fitness
what you're doing.
for your action.
Okay.
But you know, whether it's successful or failure depends on who votes for Trump and who doesn't vote for Trump and so on in the wider scheme of things. You can't control that.
So we just take
That's
whatever
beyond your
happens.
control.
I always think like the process of learning headstand or something, right? You have all of this growth that happens in the process, but once you mastered headstand, it's not like you can hang out in headstand, it's not that big a deal. Like
Right.
you're not developing musculature, you're not developing physically. The process of trying to get to the goal is where all the growth happens. But once you can just do it, it's not that big a deal. And it's not that useful. It's not nearly as useful once you can do headstand
That's a good
as it is
point.
when you can't do headstand. So try to do headstand.
That's true.
That's very good.
That's a good way to think of it. A good analogy. Okay.
So I'm glad you broke your promise to be quiet.
No, I said quiet her.
Quiet.
I have to live with it.
Yeah, that's what you're always telling.
You know, there's a certain vow that you can encourage. It's called mauna.
Oh, yes.
The
silence.
vow of silence.
They've done that. For 3 years they did that.
Oh, you
3 years,
did?
I'm catching up.
Whoa. Shut my mouth. Very good. Okay. Well, so we had this Samatam Yoga Uchite. All right. Anyone want to do 49? Okay, we'll try. All right.
Virenya,
Durena.
Durena, I, Avaram.
He. It's
He,
he.
oh,
Again, that's
he,
E
okay.
followed by becomes
Oh.
Hya. So he followed by Avaram.
Karma, Buddhi, Yoga,
Buddhi Yogat.
Yoga, Danan,
Dhananjaya, that's the name of Arjuna. Dhananjaya.
Budao,
Budao, very good.
Saranam,
Sharanam,
Sharanam,
and then the hidden Anvicha.
Kirpana,
Kripana,
Phala, Etava.
Palahetava. Very good. You want to try to translate?
I just have here that Virena is, he is discard.
You don't get a verb until, let's see, Dhanana, he Avaram Karma, Buddhi Yogat, Dhananjaya, Budao, Sharanam, Vicha.
Anvicha.
You don't get a verb until the second line of Viksha.
So are you not seeking? No, I can't.
No, you're seeking sharanam, refuge in this buddhi yoga, this intelligence, buddhao. Actually, I think there's a verb understood in the first one. Durena, far away. Bad karma is put far away. How? By the ablative, that's yogat, through buddhi yoga. Buddhi yoga seems to be what we're doing here. Buddhi yoga is this overview. Our buddhi is intelligence. And often it's said that the Bhagavad Gita has 3 kinds of yoga. Karma yoga, the yoga of action, dhyana yoga, the yoga of meditation, and bhakti yoga, the yoga of love or devotion, emotional yoga. But it's really 4. There's also buddhi yoga. Buddhi yoga. And the buddhi yoga seems to be the yoga of sort of philosophy or kind of intelligence. Keep your mind broad. In fact, one commentator, this guy Abhinavagupta, the great Kashmiri tantric, he says Buddhi yoga is the most important, more important than the 8 limbs, more important even than samadhi, more important than the yamas and some, because he says only through having the right overview do you stay on the path. Because the senses are always telling us that things are this way or that way or so on. And without a kind of overview telling you that everyone is inwardly united, says Abhinavagupta, you might stray from the path. So it's your mind that keeps you on the path, says him. So but Buddhi yoga is not usually identified as one of the yogas promulgated in the Bhagavad Gita, but I think it is, right here in this verse.
So Buddha yoga more like viveka in the sense of
Yeah, a little bit like viveka, but viveka is, I think, more psychological. Viveka means discrimination of consciousness from non-consciousness.
So how would you then differ Buddhi yoga with like jnana yoga? Just like
Well, Jnana Yoga is different from Buddha Yoga because Jnana Yoga doesn't have any concepts in it. Buddha Yoga has concepts like rebirth and we're united inwardly in our hearts. I mean, Buddha Yoga is viewed. Remember, he laid it out. You are grieving over that which is not to be grieved, right? These kings that you're going to kill, they're going to be reborn. So take heart, do what you have to do. That's all conceptual, right? That's all what the mind grasps. And so I think, whereas Viveka or Jnana Yoga is quiet, no concepts, right? Just
is it more mysticism?
yeah, Jnana Yoga is just meditation, right? It's where you try to silence your mind. You don't think anything. You get to some consciousness that is not thinking, right? Chitta Vritti Nirodha.
How is that different than Raja Yoga then? Which I was...
Well, Raja Yoga is just add some stuff to that.
Okay.
Add some stuff to that?
Like some wisdom to it.
Add some stuff to that?
Well, Raja Yoga is taught in the Yoga Sutra. I don't think the word Raja Yoga is used in the Bhagavad Gita.
Not much in the Yoga Sutra. I don't think it's so much in the Yoga Sutra. Or the Hatha Yoga Pradipika.
Oh, the Hatha Yoga Pradipika.
I know.
Just don't mind us. Sorry. Okay, cool. All right, here we can.
So we have to put in these.
That's our new landlord.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay.
So Buddhi, that's still hard. That's still like...
Jnana is meditation. You're not thinking about rebirth or I don't know, the various constituents of the universe.
But sorry, yeah, the Yoga Sutra is a great text on Raja Yoga. But I don't
Okay.
think they talk about it as Raja Yoga
Okay,
unless
sure.
it's in the Hatha Yoga.
Sure. Okay.
But it's understood
But also-
to be all of it.
But also,
Is it Raja Yoga that is understood to be all of it?
It's like the meditative
probably,
aspects.
I think
Just
that's
the
right.
meditative?
But notice the first chapter of the Yoga Sutra. Yoga's in the second sutra is defined as Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha, that is cessation of fluctuations in mentality. And then it tells you how to get there. Abhyasat vairagyat, right? Practice and dispassion. But then there are 6 or 7 other sutras where the word va appears. Va means or. So it says or by pranayama, or by yoga nidra, or by... So to me, what this indicates is chapter 1 has all these alternative methods to get to a quiet mind, to a silent mind. It's as though Patanjali had a yoga conference of yoga teachers, and he tried to bring in as much of the various practices as he could. They don't contradict, because he says, or you can get there this way, or you can get there this way, or you can get there this way and this way. Then, of course, in the second chapter, it's Ashtanga Yoga. With the yamas, the niyamas, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dhanana, dhyana, samadhi. But the first chapter has a whole bunch of stuff, right? All alternative ways to get to Chitta Vritti Nirodha.
So is Buddhi more like your worldview? Buddhi Yoga in that sense?
Yes, worldview
Okay.
is your worldview. Now, yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
Now the worldview here is going to be a little different from the worldview of the Yoga Sutra. But yeah, so that's what I think Buddha Yoga is. It's like sharpen, even though we're trying to silence our minds, as he'll say, in Jnana Yoga, and raise to a different level of consciousness, it doesn't mean that we destroy the mind. The mind still has to be sharpened and have a worldview, have a framework to support. That's at least that's what many of the interpreters. That's what Abhinavagupta says. You need a worldview to support your practice, and it's very important. Yeah, I mean, for example, there are people in the Mahabharata called ku-yogis, bad yogis, who use yoga for selfish ends. So this is
So
trying to
their
be-
intent is their fruits are for selfish ends.
yeah. There's so they're
So
Vyavasaya.
but even if I'm still back on that. Even if my fruits are non-selfish, even if my fruits are just help the world and everything's good and stuff, I still shouldn't be attached to that. I still shouldn't act with
No,
that.
it doesn't say you shouldn't act.
I shouldn't act with just
That
those
intention.
fruits in my intention.
Well,
even
what-
if my fruits are pure, even if it's
Okay, so you're a Doctor Without Borders. You head out for Gaza and they blow up your ship.
That's
What
right.
do? Go into depression?
okay. But still, I still got my fruits in my mind when
Well,
I'm
that gives
going.
you direction for your action. You have to have that.
Okay,
That's what we were
But
talking
not
about
the
earlier.
result.
but not the result.
Not the
Okay.
result.
Not the results. And that's
That you have your intention in mind.
yes.
Not the result.
There
Your
you go.
intention
Okay.
is to do
The
good.
result,
The
the
result
intention
is
is to
that
do
they
that.
blew up your
So the bad yogis, their intention is bad,
That's right.
is selfish, or
Right.
whatever, yeah.
Right. Right. Because, I guess in this teaching, they're often border on contradiction, right? Because there are several places where Krishna says the true yogi delights in the welfare of everyone
Yeah,
and works for the welfare of everyone.
right.
He even says, look, Krishna says, I don't have anything to gain, but I come to try to help everybody, to hold together the universes. And also he says to set a good example. And also there in 321, which I think is my favorite verse of the Bhagavad Gita, he says, in every occupation, at least there's this great commentator in the Nyaya tradition, probably most of you don't, but Kendra knows a little bit about Nyaya, called Udayana, who interprets 321 as whatever standard is the highest in whatever occupation. And Udayana mentions pottery, weaving, grammar. He mentions 3 or 4 occupations. And he says sometimes that changes. That's the Lord acting. And he ends up saying, hail the potters. Those who break the mold and set new standard, that's the Lord. That's Krishna acting through them. So whenever there's this excellence of standards set, that's the grace of the Lord. And it may be that, the potter is a slob in the rest of her life. But as long as she's setting the highest, most excellent standard in pottery, Udayana, interpreting 321, says, hail the potters. That's the best. So it's not the case that, anything goes, right? And there is this perfectionism taught in the Gita and breaking of molds. Okay. So we are going slowly today. Okay.
Durena still?
So we're at 50 now, right?
Did
Oh
we
yeah,
get-
just
did
this.
we finish
The
this?
rest of this verse is Pala hetavaha, these people, these other people, the ones who are motivated. Hetu, the plural is hetavaha. So again, that's a Bahuvri compound. Pitiable are those who are motivated by the fruits. So strive in action, but only for the perfection of action, not for and that's the personal fruit, right? So buddhi yukto jahati iha. So jahati iha. So when E and E come together, two short E's become a long E, right? So jahati iha. Iha is here in this world. Jata, you've noticed that the third person singular is often T. Ube sukrita dushkrite. So it's bordering on contradiction here, right? Tasmat yogaya yujyasva. This is where we have practice yoga. Yeah, yogaya. For yoga. Buddhi yukta. So the disciplined in the buddhi, in the mind, right? Buddhi yukta. Give up. Jahati. Here in this world. Iha. Ube, both. Sukrita, adushkrita. Here it's, again, success and failure, or the well done and the ill done. I mean, then the past. Right? This reminds me of another thing in the Yoga Sutra. I always loved when the Yoga Sutra says, you should strive for this or this or this, and what attitude you should take. And then it says, okay, how about for people who are sinful, who are, really at the low end, right, or do something really, really bad? It says indifference, not disgust or hatred or anything, but, and here, if you fail or it turns out bad or it turns out good, hey, don't worry about it. Tasmat, therefore, and this is a summary, yogaya, for yoga, that's dative, for yoga, yujyasva, that's that imperative of yuj, which is the root for yoga. That means practice yoga for yoga. I don't know what that is. Practice for the sake of yoga. Do yoga for the sake of yoga. Do yoga for the sake of yoga.
Where does it say that exactly?
Tasmat, therefore. Tasmat, yogaya. That's for yoga, for the purpose of yoga. Yujyasva, do yoga, for the purpose of yoga. That's a little mysterious, isn't it? Do yoga for the purpose of yoga.
What's the process? What you're just talking about?
Okay.
It's the process.
Okay, it's a process. Okay. Karma, and then this is that great line I was saying earlier. Yoga karma sukasham. Yoga is skill in works. This is one of the most memorable lines.
Skill in works.
Yoga, karma, in action. Yoga is skill in action.
Skill in action.
Karma, in anything you do. The most general there are different senses of karma. Karma can be the psychological traces that bind you, habits. The bad sense of karma is bad habit, bad karma, bad habits. But this is just action, right? So yoga is skill in action. Isn't that a great line? That's a very memorable. Yeah, yoga is skill in action. Because that's Kendra's class, and I doubtless Robin's too. It's very exacting, right? It's not like, it's hardly anything goes.
No,
Action.
skill in action, I like it.
Okay. So, your name was Cecilia, right?
Yes.
And your name, I'm sorry,
Vanessa.
Phyllis?
Vanessa. Vanessa.
Vanessa.
Vanessa.
Vanessa. Okay, Vanessa. Even though I have a Huron name, it's still did you, would you like to take one?
Sure. Karmajam Udiyukta Hi Phalam Tyatva Mani Sina
Very good.
Janmab and Avini Mukta Padam Gachantyana Amayam.
So padam gachanti, there's that ya, that e, followed by so gachanti, and then the hidden un, and un means the same as they use un, like in English we use that too, right? You
Yes,
put it
in front of another.
in front of a
Yeah.
vowel,
Yeah.
right? Like
Unestablished.
Very good. Unestablished. There's that champion student again, right? Yeah, very good. So, Gachanti Anami. Very good. Perfect. Just want to repeat lesson about, see those two dots is transliterated as the H with a dot under it.
Yes.
That's called Visarga. And again, don't worry about pronouncing it perfectly. My guy Abhinava Gupta says, if you ever pronounce Visarga perfectly, you get immediate liberation.
And I will worry about it.
But don't be disappointed. It's very hard, is the point. In any case, Visarga is, you take the vowel that the Visarga follows, and you repeat that vowel with a half breath. So if the vowel is a long A, for example, where we have in Vinimukta, so it's Vinimukta, but it's short like Manishina, it's Vinishina, and if it were, look at 48, Siddha Asiddha Yo, so that's O, so it'd be Siddha Siddha Yo, and you go, oh, you give a little oh, right? A little half breath oh, right? So it just depends on what is the preceding vowel determines the vowel sound of the Visarga, and it's not a full syllable, it's a half syllable. So it's like just an after breath, and it's almost like you have to hold your breath. I don't know. Again, I've given up on enlightenment from this source.
Well, there are other ways.
There are other ways.
In the
There's
first
pranayama.
chapter, in the first
Awesome.
chapter, there's all these other ways.
That's right.
Yeah. Va, va, va.
Okay. So, Robin, you're going to take one?
Well, we haven't said what all
We
that
haven't
means
even
yet.
analyzed this one.
Oh, you want to analyze this one? Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
gee.
Oh, we have to analyze this one. So, Vanessa, are you going to tell us how to translate this one?
I don't think I know enough to do that. Well, karma is action, right? What's jam?
What is that?
Born?
So you see the subject of the sentence is Manishina, that's human beings. And then there's an adjective, Buddhiyukta. This, again, because this is verse, the word order is not regulated by meaning. It's regulated by meter. So that means you can have no expectations. You just have to find the subject and then the verb and so on. So the subject is manishina, and then an adjective is buddhiyukta. So the ones that are disciplined or practicing yoga of the buddhi, we had a long discussion while you were gone there, champion, of Buddha yoga is the yoga of the intelligence. It's the overview. It's the philosophy that helps you stay on the path. It's mental. It's conceptual. It's a kind of discipline. It's not just, it's refining the mind. And those who've done that, who are disciplined in the mind, renouncing tyaktva, and then you have an object, fruit, and then an adjective modifying the fruit, karmajam, born of karma, renouncing the fruit born of karma, but disciplined in the mind, buddhiyukta, janma bandha vimukta. So that means liberated from the bondage, bandha, right? Bandhas, you have bandhas in yoga, right? They're physical in hatha yoga. Released from the bondages of birth. These people, manisha, the plural from the first line, gachanti, go to a status, a state of consciousness, not amayam.
Not from Maya.
Without amayam. Amaya is any kind of misfortune. This is not Maya, it's not Maya. This is amaya. Amaya. There's a famous. There's a famous verse. Sarve santu niramaya. May everyone be free of misfortune. Sarve badrani pashantu. May everyone have good things happen to them. Ma kascha dukkha bhave. May no one have the unfortunate lot of suffering. That's a famous mantra that is said often at public occasions in India. So anamayam. So you go to the place that's free of any kind of misfortune. And the bond of birth. Yeah, the bonds of birth. Okay. Yada te moha kalinam buddhi vyati tarishyati tada gantasi nirvedam shrutasya cha. This picks up that theme of slamming the Veda, right? When the intelligence, the buddhi, has crossed beyond the morass of confusion, tada, then you will go to indifference, nirvedam, to shruti. This is really, shruti is supposed to be revelation. This is, this is quite, what do you want to say, revolutionary in the religious context. It says, shruti is supposed to be, the Veda is shruti, the divine revelation. And this is, you go beyond shrotavyasya. Shrutas, what has been revealed and what is to be revealed. You go beyond that. You go beyond it. You don't need it. And then look, even the next verse also the same thing. Shruti vi pratipana te. Those who are vi pratipana, free from, not brainwashed by Shruti. Yada tasid nishchala. And this does seem like the Yoga Sutra, right? You stand nishchala, sort of unmoving in your thought. or maybe that's, non-wavering, nishchala, stasyati, samadao. This is samadhi. Here we definitely get a yogic term. So, achala, the buddhi becomes achala, immovable in samadhi. Tada yogam. At that time, we will say, it is said, that you have attained to yoga, or you will have attained to yoga.
Okay, you become unmoving, unwavering in your way of thinking. Is that
In samadhi.
Well, I think that's supposed to lead up to something even better, right? It's like that's a step, right?
okay? So you go to indifference.
You get this indifference,
Okay.
but then you go beyond that, tada, you get to samadhi. And samadhi is a kind of trance, I think.
What do you think about Nirvana? Almost like more like not just like detachment, but almost like disgust or like revulsion for. I don't know. I mean, I see.
Oh, I see. Could be.
I don't know. I just like, is that legit use of that word? Because the way he
What does Radhakrishnan have for that verse? This is which verse is this?
well, that's in 52, but
52.
then in 53 when he says
Nirvedam. Okay. You know how Shankara glosses. No, Shankara is the great early Vedanta commentator. Shankara glosses Nirvedam as a synonym vairagyam.
Oh yeah, okay, great. So like renounce. Kind
Vairagya.
Yeah.
But vairagyam's not disgust.
It's
No,
just
right, yeah.
Renunciation.
Renunciation.
Renouncing
Yeah,
them.
right.
Dispassion, right?
Yeah.
I don't
Dispassion.
Yeah.
So
I don't
that's
care.
Kind of like indifference.
You know, me too.
kind of like indifference, maybe a little stronger than
Indifference.
It says indifferent here.
okay, indifference.
It says, when thy intelligence shall cross the turbidity of delusion,
Wow.
then shalt thou become indifferent to what has been heard and what is yet to be heard.
But that word heard, shruti, has the resonance. The word for revelation in Vedanta philosophy is shruti, what's been heard. And the idea is that there's been a revelation that great rishis have heard,
Okay.
right? That's why it's called shruti. But he, it seems to me, is knocking that picture.
So you're going beyond that.
You got to go beyond that to some higher state of
You're
consciousness.
going beyond revelation.
You're going beyond revelation.
Yeah,
Not just
because
your
it says
revelation,
here,
but other people's revelation.
he who
Right.
attains the wisdom of the Supreme passes beyond the range of the Vedas and the Upanishads.
There you go.
That's Radhakrishnan, who's very much studied in all of this. Yeah, he's got it. Well, that's what Shankara says too. It's not like
But you
that.
said this was a new way of thinking about it.
Yeah.
Krishna's kind of rewriting the
Yeah, I think that
the book here.
despite the usage that the Bhagavad Gita has been put to by some political forces, it does seem to be a kind of revolutionary and universalist teaching.
Yeah.
Going beyond.
I mean, even the Yoga Sutra on Vairagya, right? Darshanushravika Vishaya Vitrishnasya.
Oh, really? So that may be an echo of the Gita.
Yeah, right.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, not wanting anything you even
Yeah.
the things you heard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Things that have been touted as revealed or whatever.
And I think that's how it's glossed in the commentary. Specifically, it's
Okay.
the achievements that are promised.
Like the whole third chapter, just like all these things that are in the Yoga Sutra, just all the
So these,
superpowers
Yeah.
and stuff like that, just going beyond all those things.
no, I don't think so.
No, I don't think so.
I,
I think
Just
it's,
But I have a little problem with
Just the
that.
revelation.
On chapter 3, why does the Yoga Sutra go to such detail about siddhis? The whole of chapter 3 is about siddhis. And even with the Ashtanga Yoga, you know, the perfection of ahimsa,
Yeah.
there's,
Yes.
you know,
There won't be violence even around.
you get into the vicinity of the yogini, and
Violence stops.
violence stops, and you know, Saint, what is it, Thomas of Assisi, the birds would sit on his shoulder and so on, right? And you have this idea that the true practicer of ahimsa, I mean, there's something, so I've always been suspicious of that 337 when it says these are obstacles
yes.
to so-and-so, because why does the Yoga Sutra spend about, you know, more than a quarter of its total bulk
Yeah.
talking about siddhis?
Right.
So I wrote a paper called The Conflict of Voluntarism and Dualism in the Yoga Sutra. There's this dualism where all the accomplishments are on the side of Prakriti, but there's also this voluntarism. You can reach perfection of this in all these different ways. Ahimsa, asteya, parigraha, and they all come with certain all around
Superpowers.
Yeah, each
So,
one.
you know, there's a,
perfections. They're
Yeah.
perfections.
in the Buddhist lineage, sometimes they talk about, right, whatever, 10 non-virtues or something. And they say you're allowed to break these under very special circumstances. And then they describe the circumstances under which you're allowed to break them. And you have to, like, be able to see everyone's past and future lives. Like, basically, you're not qualified, right? And so, and I kind of take some of those, like, those sections are like metrics. Like, how do I know when I've achieved ahimsa? It's like, well, when you no longer see violence. So,
Right.
like,
And when the
don't worry.
birds sit on your shoulder.
You're still working on it, you know? Like, don't stress. Like, oh, can you, like, how do I know when I've mastered, you know, the elements? Well, like, can you fly?
Right.
Then, like,
Yeah.
get back to your
You know,
practice.
there really is something to that. I
Yeah.
mean, there are some people that, you know, animals are not afraid of. And, you know,
Like children.
yeah. Well, also that they, you know, are either vegetarian or
Yeah.
practice, you know, kindness
Yeah.
towards creatures. And I've seen that where, you know, even a snake will want to get the darshan of a certain person, right?
We had a pet fox in retreat named Adigama
There you
who
go.
would come to visit
Yeah,
us.
can't come to visit.
We had a bear come through our
Oh,
window.
very good. There
Just
you
we
are.
had chocolate chip cookies.
See,
in
there
there.
you are. There you are. So, yes.
But it's also like, I don't know, it feels like it's in preparation for Kaivalya, for the 4th chapter, where it's saying, just, yes, all these things are going to happen, but still, it's not Kaivalya, it's not the ultimate goal.
Okay, that's where the worldview of the Gita is different from the worldview of the Yoga Sutra, because the worldview of the Gita is going to be positive about the world and action in the world to the very end.
Yeah.
Not going, it's going to say you can live in both. You can live in Kaivalya, in enlightenment, but also act. I think that's going to be the message.
I like that.
Chop wood and carry water, right?
Yeah, chop wood and carry water.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah.
No matter where you are, chop wood. You still have to chop wood and carry water.
Yeah. Isn't there a tradition, though? I mean, sometimes it seems like in, you know, old books or traditions, you hear of yogis almost like sorcerers or black magicians, and then, like, in the time, right, of the Yoga Sutra, like, that has to be reconciled a little bit with what is yoga and what is that, right? When, like, the Buddhists are doing all this yoga and that's meditation, but then we had this word yogi that meant, like, some weird cave dweller with superpowers, And so it seems like in the third chapter, there's some sort of like attempted reconciliation with like, well, what do those two have to do with one another? And then it's also like a, this argument about like prakriti, or the phenomenological world, and your mind, your intellect, what you think is you is on the level of the elements and not on the level of the true you. And so like they deserve each other, and that's why yogis get weird powers, is that's just the intellect, that's not the true self.
Okay.
I don't know. It seems like in the commentary, like the Bhashya is trying to make this point in that section, that that it somehow is a way of understanding the relationship between.
Well, there are. I mean, I don't. In the Upanishads, where yoga is first brought up, you don't get the idea of bad yogis. But later on, you definitely do, in the Ramayana. And what you're saying also, that there could be yogis who have mastered various aspects of their being and don't go all the way, so to say. Right? So yeah, maybe.
I don't know.
But again, the worldview of, in the Yoga Sutra, notice there is a concept of Ishvara.
There is.
Right? Book 1, 21 through 29.
23.
And the Ishvara is conceived as a yogi with siddhis, the 8 siddhis. That's how the Ishvara is not some all-powerful God who makes heaven and earth and so on. The Ishvara is conceived of as a yogi with the 8 siddhis.
What are they?
And that's particularly in the commentary.
What are the 8 siddhis?
Oh boy, animas.
Making yourself so small that you can't be noticed, strength of an elephant,
Being able to like walk
flying,
Walk through walls.
a whole bunch.
But it's also considered a va. It's like an or. It's not put up as like a whole subject on its own. It's like some other thing to meditate on.
Right. It's almost as though here's a model yogi that you should meditate on. Right. Here's what, be like Mike. This is the Mike. Okay. So where were we? Okay, we finished. We got Arjuna. We got Arjuna Uvacha. Stita prajnasya ka bhasha. Samadhi stasya Keshava. Here we go. Samadhi. Right?
Page 26.
So Kabasha is asking the question, what this a genitive, stita prajnasya. So one who has a stita, a settled prajna, wisdom, I might anticipate the chitta vritti nirodha idea here, maybe a little longer, and who stands or situated in samadhi. Again, genitive. What is his, how does he talk or she talk? Keshava, Krishna. Stita di, whose thought is still, stita, held firm, quiet. Kim prabhasheta, how would that person speak? Kim asita, how would they sit? How would they walk? In other words, in general, how do they act? This person of a kind of transformed consciousness that you're saying is achievable through yoga. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha, and he says, I'll tell you. Prajahati tadakaman sarvan partha manogatan Atmani eva atmana tushta stita prajnatana uchate. So when kaman, desires, which desires? Sarvan, all of them. Oh, Arjuna, Partha, Manogatan, which pull the mind away. When they have been put aside, prajahati yada. Again, word order makes no difference. You have to search to find the subject. Jahati. Oh, no, sorry. When a person puts it's active, I made it passive. And kaman is accusative, plural. Kaman, sarvan, manogatan. So when tushta, right? Atmani eva atmana tushta. So a person who's satisfied, who is pleased, tushta, very positive, who is pleased in the self, by the self. Atmani eva, in the self alone, by the self, who is pleased in the self, by the self. Tushta, pleased, stitaha prajnas. Then we call that person a person who has stita prajna, of a quiet mind or settled wisdom. You ask, what is that person like? Well, this is what that person's like. The person is happy in just consciousness. Atmani, I mean, that doesn't have much resonance with Buddhists, but I think it's something like in being imbued with the spirit of the bodhisattva, the all-embracing spirit, right? When you're satisfied in that consciousness, whatever it be, right?
You can almost replace the word anatman for atman anywhere in here.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
That's good. So when you're satisfied with being nothing,
Kind of. It's,
yeah,
maybe overstated.
with a N, with a capital N. There's a line in Shakespeare that says, "Nor I nor any man that but man be, with nothing will be pleased till he be eased with being nothing."
what play with that?
I think that's Richard II, maybe, or Richard III. I nor any man that but man is, with nothing will be pleased till he be eased with being nothing. Shakespeare.
So good.
But that's not as good as this, because there the nothing is kind of
Richard
negative.
II.
Here I think it's positive, right?
That's good.
Nothing, okay.
Cool. Juicy.
Okay, so tushta. So atmani eva atmana. So atmani is locative, atmana is instrumental, third case, by the self, pleased in the self, by the self. Stita prajna. Then we say that person has stita prajna, settled wisdom. Dukeshu, so this is where becomes ud vig vigna mana. So vigna is an unusual past passive participle. Mana is sort of the sensory intelligence. So sukeshu vikata spriha. So ud vignamana. So whose sort of sensory reactions are undisturbed, unshaken in pain, in dukkha, in pain and suffering, and sukeshu, and in pleasurable occurrences, sukeshu, so dukkha, sukha dukkha, Sukha dukkha is often the pleasure, pain. Vikata spriha. So a person who is not longing, whose longing for pleasure is gone, or spriha, vikata spriha, sort of like your expectation is more spriha, right? You don't have expectations. It's kind of that's what the existentialists always thought, right? Don't have any expectations. Don't, be.
And don't ever be disappointed.
Be here now, right? Don't have expectations. Vigata spriha, vitaraga bhaya krodha. So your raga, passion, fear, and anger gone. Stitadi. Then your intelligence is fixed. The Muni, the sage, has stitadi. Again, I think that's like the Chittavritti Nirodha. Or maybe it's a little broader. Uchita.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be broader. I mean, the commentary says you only have to stop your Rajasic and Tamasic vrittis to count as
You can
yoga.
keep the sattvic ones, right?
Yeah, but then that's some prajna samadhi, and then some prajna.
Yeah, it goes beyond that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So you could do either one counts as some version of yoga.
Okay. So where are we? Okay. Okay. Well, let's do one more. Ya sarvatra again that abhisnehas, and the visarga changes the sa before ta. So abhisneha tat prapya shubha shubham na abhinandanti na dveshti tasya prajna pratishtita. So that person who, sarvatra, in every occasion, unabhisneha, is not longing, whether, obtaining this or that, good fortune or bad fortune, shubha, ashubham. There's a shubhamastu nityam. That's our common thing. Let everyone be prosperous. But whether it is or not, Ninda doesn't rejoice, doesn't hate, then that person's prajna, intelligence, consciousness, is said to be pratishta. Yeah, I just want to draw, we'll have to go, we're at our hour, but I'm going to just draw your attention to two below is 59, where Vishya Vinirvante Niraharasya Dehina Rasavarjyam. So this is sort of getting this idea, and I was talking to Ben about this. I'm actually thinking about writing a book about this word rasavarjam. Rasavarjam means except for rasa. So it says the objects of the senses, vishya, they really cease for the person, for the embodied, for the soul, dehina, for the self, who is nirahara. Ahara is food, but this is more general, nirahara, who's not hungry for anything, except for rasa. Now, rasa becomes a central concept in the whole of the aesthetic literature of classical India. Rasa means aesthetic experience. Rasa literally means taste. And there are 8 rasas that are identified in the aesthetic literature. But it means a kind of aesthetic transformation of ordinary experience. So ordinarily we have sexual feeling, but there's the erotic rasa. That is a transformation of raw sexual feeling. There's the transformation of anger, krodha, into the rasa of vigorous action and sort of righteous indignation. There's the fear, but there's the rasa of fear, which all rasas are something good. And the whole point of the ascetic literature is you take something in ordinary life that may be bad, like fear, but then there's the horror movie, which is delightful. All rasa is a matter of delight, and so here it's like going up a level. So the level of fiction, the level of fantasy, is somehow the level of artistic creativity is a level in between, right? Is rasa, this is going to remain, the rasa remains when you renounce all these ordinary sensory enjoyments. And then it says, but then rasa 2, rasa api.
That's it.
Also the rasa goes. Even the rasa goes when you get to the very supreme.
Whereas the Buddhist would then say ekarasa.
Ekarasa. I see, the homogeneous bliss of nirvana.
In the end, it is all one taste.
Okay. No, anyway. Om Tat Sat. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You still love it.
So we'll see you in 2 weeks then.
Yeah, 2 weeks.
Okay. But I can still get a free yoga class.
Anytime.
Still come
As
to
much as you
class,
want.
right?
Come as much as you want.
Okay.